Hey everybody, this is Jon Z from Comic Book Invest Tales from the FlipSide podcast, and welcome to episode 2 of Global Comic Safari. I have with me, as always, Matt Roybal from the Foreign Comic Collecting Magazine. Say hi, Matt.
What up, guys?
Today we are going to do another cover set. We are going to talk about the iconic Batman 227 by Neal Adams. But first, we wanted to just kind of pause and share a funny video we got in the group that one of the guys got that he was very excited about a pickup. If you watch Tales from the FlipSide, you saw Robert's pickup from the Big Booty Gwen, but this one might be a
Ian, man, he TikToked the shit out of that.
I have been laughing for days when I saw it. Can you tell a little bit about the story of that one, Matt?
Okay, so Ian is a member of the group, and he's a big builder of the Batman Adventures 12, of course, first Harley, but he wanted to start another set. He likes Darkhawk, and he hit me up, and he was wanting to know what Darkhawk ones that I knew of edition-wise, and I said, well, I think there's definitely some Europeans, and particularly some easier ones to find. And then I told him I remembered that I had an Italian Darkhawk one that was in the Italian Punisher run. Told him about it. He says, "Oh, really? How much do you need for it?" And I was like, "I don't know. Throw me a number, you know." So he threw me a number. I said, "That's cool. I'll ship it out." Shipped it out. And I told him, I said, yeah, make sure to post this in the group when you get it. And I told him, make sure to post it. I didn't say go make this amazing TikTok video. I just thought he was going to scan it. And so he made this amazing TikTok video, and he posted it in there. And he's all excited for the Darkhawk. He's going to start building that set. So I'm really happy for Ian. Ian Dionata is the collector's name. And, that's just he's excited. There's something about building sets that's exciting and pulling these books from all over the place, and he got lucky because Matt had one in his collection here in the States. He didn't have to go. He had already been looking on Italian eBay, and I had that issue, and I just said, yeah, dude, let's go, let's get it to you.
Save up $15 on shipping, man. Trust me.
Some of them, $20, $30.
Oh,
yeah,
too much right now. So, all right, let's get down to some business. That was a great video. Robert used some TikTok, so I'm sure we'll see a little more. If you got one you want to share, shoot it our way. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, heck yeah. Do some TikToks.
So we decided to do Batman 227 because A, it's awesome. B, it's not the largest set out there. It's a good silver bronze book to get. That's the original US version. I'm going to put the set pick up right here. Only 6 international cover editions. We'll get into the weeds a little bit more on the set, but these are the big 6. So, we got Mexico, we got French, we got 2 printings in Brazil, which is unique. We got the Aussie, and then we got the Arabic.
Lebanese Arabic. So that's a monster, man.
I'm going to flash a quick image of the US one just to kind of give us a little bit of general information and just get a look at it, because as we know, they look a little different each one. Just kind of take some details in. Some fast facts on this one. Printed in December of 1970. Check the census. There's just over 1,300 on the census. A vast, the heaviest range is in that 7/8 range, just for information. There are 11 9/8, which is almost
Wow.
surprising for this book, but you
Oh,
never
the
know.
black cover. I'm surprised.
Yeah, so 11's a higher number than I expected, but not impossible. I mean, people were putting them in books in this or bags and boards at this point in time. I mean, comics were kind of becoming a collectible.
Yeah.
Iconic Neal Adams cover, homage to Detective 31, which is a monster of a book.
Oh, yeah.
And Neal is arguably the, if not the one of the definitive Batman artists of all time. Definitely of the late Silver Bronze Age type
Oh,
one.
yeah.
He was a beast.
Yeah. Neal, what can you say? I mean, so many classic and key covers from his time doing bats. I mean, this one, though, for me, really takes the cake with the Demon and the Maiden and the Wolves.
I regret I was at a con a couple years ago and saw a 9.4 I was going to buy, and I waited too long, went and had lunch with a buddy, and by the time I came back, it was gone.
Oh, shit.
And I'm still regretting it. Just some price out. If you want to pick one up, low to kind of low mid grades are going to run you a couple $100. 9.0 will run you probably just under 1,000. So
I got a decent American. It's got problems right here. It's got some color breaking and stuff, but even in the mid grades now, this book is still going to run you some money.
Yeah, it's going to be $400 or $500 to get something with some eye appeal. So
yeah,
not a crazy expensive book, but still high in demand and decent numbers for the book with no real quote key issues. It's a classic cover by all definition.
Except for one thing, John. Remember we talked about that. I've read that according to some hardcore DC historic geeks, in this comic book is the first time they actually show Batman crying, weeping on a panel. That's what I'd read. I don't know how true that is, but at the end of the story here, there's a ghost, the ghost of the maiden that haunts Gothos Mansion, and she's got a painting up on a wall, and Batman is sitting like near the painting, and he's got his hands in his face like that, and he's full on weeping. And I'd heard that this is the first time you ever get to see Batman really cry like that. I don't know how true that is. That's just what I'd read in some blogs and other.
I saw some things about hanging panels, all that kind of stuff. I didn't really want to get in the weeds because we're not here to talk about the American as much as we like it. We're here to talk about the foreigns.
The foreigns, baby.
So we're going to kick it off with the tour to Brazil, which Brazil, as you'll learn, is one of the big stomping grounds. A lot of books come out of Brazil. Yep. Most sets seem to stop there somewhere. So start with the first edition Brazil.
Okay, so this is a famous Eball. Now, Eballs are beautiful books out of Brazil. This is Batman B, issue number 40. This is the first series of the Batman B. They did 2. It was published by Eball on November of 1971.
So it just 11 months after the original.
Yeah, not that far off, man. Brazil they were close. It contains Batman 227 and it contains Brave and the Bold 76. Now, all the interiors are black and white. Eball, for the most part, had black and white interior. Now, they did have some series called M Colores that were full color. But I think those were more expensive, and I actually think those might be harder to find at times because maybe they were more expensive on the newsstand, so not as many sold. But the thing about this book, okay, so the classic art on the inside looks great in black and white. It looks great, and Eballs are printed with really good paper, decent, almost cardstock covers that you've seen.
Yeah.
But the problem with the Eballs, or if you don't consider it a problem, the kind of neat thing about it was, for whatever reason, Eball covers are colored very differently than the American originals. We think that maybe it's because they got the artwork, but they never got the color sets. So they were kind of left to their own devices on color. Another good example of a neat Eball colorization difference would be the Spider-Man 129. It's the only Spider-Man 129 foreign edition where his skull is like gray and it's like subdued. And so you have these weird colorations with the Eballs, and I think it's simply because they got the art, but maybe they just didn't, either they didn't get the color information, or they said screw it and decided to do whatever they wanted to do. What's clearly simply accepted, though, is that this cover with that kind of pastel-y, almost watercolory feel is gorgeous. And
Oh,
if
it
you
is
compare,
amazing.
if you can, and I tell people all the time, when you have this book in your hands, you go, holy shit! I mean, look at
I'm flash the
the
original just to take another look at
yeah,
it.
yeah. The originals, it almost seems a little cold. It's got a lot of stuff up in there. You got the comics code. You got Batman's extra or Robin's extra. Who cares
Yeah,
about Robin? You got,
exactly.
so it's kind of busy.
Yeah,
This
you flip
one,
back to this one. This orange and brown, just
it's
really
just it pops.
pretty.
It's beautiful.
It,
And notice the clouds. Okay, go back to the American, John. See how the clouds are like wispy.
yeah,
Now go back to see on the Brazilian. They filled in a lot of that background. And I don't know what that necessarily does, but I feel like it gives the bat's figure in the back almost like a decent enough contrasty background. Whereas on the American, he's black on black, so
yeah.
to speak. Do you
It
know what I
definitely
mean?
gets. It adds a little more foreboding.
Yeah, it's like contrasty. It just this this issue is amazing.
It's the
It's definitely,
best looking cover in the set.
yep, and it's printed close to the American original. November 1971. That's a long time for a book to survive in Brazil.
Yeah.
Um,
We talked
and
about
it,
the rusty staples and
yeah,
sometimes
and then you
removing
have to deal with the
staples.
rusty staples, removing of staples. E-balls are known throughout the foreign hobby for being very difficult to get without page quality issues and without rusty staples. So if you can find one, you don't want to find one that looks like it's got perfect staples. You want to find one that's got some discoloration in the staples and hopefully no rust or no rust migration, which you see a lot with e-balls.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But this is a beautiful book. I have even gone and said that I think that if you went to a con, any con, pick a con in America, and go to some comic art booth and put up a poster of the American and a poster of this Brazilian Eball and have them at the same price, I honestly think the Eball would sell more. I know it sounds crazy, but I just, this is one of those clear examples where I think the foreign publisher just did a better job.
Yeah, it is a pretty book. We're going to jump ahead a little bit because Brazil put out a second version of this. This is I showed this on Tales from FlipSide a while ago. This is a digest size comic though, so just be aware if you happen to order one, it's going to be one of those little.
It's tiny.
Yeah, maybe 7x4 or something size.
Yeah, this is Super Amigos number 18. This was published by Abril, and Abril did mainly digest size books. Though I have seen some examples of more normal formats. For the most part, Abril was all digest size. The interiors are color. This was printed way later. This was printed in October of 1986. And the interior doesn't have a 227 at all.
It's just a cover.
It's just this cover. Look, they removed the demon, they removed the maiden, they removed the dogs or wolves, however you want to call them, and they put Robin on there kicking some asshole. This one has Batman 345, Tech 511, Batman 349, and Green Lantern 149 in it. So it's got those stories from there. So it's got a lot of stuff in there, but no 227 to be found.
They just wanted to use a cool cover and throw Robin right in the middle.
Yeah, throw it in there, and people will say, well, it doesn't have, this essentially isn't a 227. You know what? If we're gonna split hairs, yeah, it's not a 227 edition. But if you're building this set, you kind of have to have it because you almost need to pad the set out because it is so small. Unfortunately, this set is pretty small.
And we said a lot of the quote set builders are building cover sets.
Yes.
There's a whole another niche of interiors and poster art and all that stuff that we'll talk about. So
yeah, and and some completionists, they're going to want this for their set. And the other reason to bring it up is it's a relatively easy book to find. This is not a difficult book to get. You can get this one.
I paid about $20 for one.
Yeah, it's easy. Everyone can have one of these if they want one.
We're going to stick to Spanish language and hit the Novaro.
The Navaro. Okay.
This is out of Mexico. For those of you that are new to the hobby, this is. Um, I'll let Matt give you the details before I get into it.
This is the Mexican Navaro, Batman, El Hombre Musis. God, I have a hard time with the bat. Murcielago. I've always had a hard time with that. Batman, El Hombre Murcielago, issue 591. So, you want to talk about a long run in Mexico's history of Batman. This is issue 591. Of course, they were throwing a bunch of stuff in there, but yeah, so it's a high number. It was printed by Novaro on 19. We know it was printed in 1971, but I don't have the month for that. It's got color interiors. It contains the Bats 227 story. The issue with this book is that they really suffered from print quality issues. You don't own one of these yet, right,
Not
John?
yet. I haven't got to this one.
Well, when you do get to this, you'll find that almost all the copies we see have a problem with ink transfer.
Okay.
And we see it on the back and on the front. Do you see, like, on this book? Do you see how there's some quality issues up in Batman, and it just looks like they were stacked wet?
Okay.
We think that maybe these were stacked and they weren't allowed to dry properly. And so what you see on these Batman Novaro 227s is on the back you'll see ink transfer from the front. Almost on I've seen plenty of these. Almost to the letter, you'll always find. I've never seen a copy that did not have an ink transfer problem. And I think I know what it might be. Do you know what might have happened, John?
I do not. I'll let you go.
In the offset press world, it's printed using 4-color, right? Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black.
Yeah.
Black can be just simply black, or it can be black with the other colors mixed in. A rich black, what they call in the printing world. I think that when they did the color separations for this book at Novaro, all of their blacks were still mixed with cyan, magenta, and yellow included into them somewhat. And so it made for a real heavy, thick printing. It wasn't just the black ink. It was sort of like the mix was really heavy. And I think that for some reason might have had some issues with their print quality. And it's not even just the cover. If you open this book up, most of these books that I've looked on the interior, same issue. You have ink transfer. So for some reason, either these books were right off the press, they were maybe stacked too high, so there was too much pressure. You're not supposed to put a whole lot of pressure on them, or you'll get that ink transfer when they're wet. So there was some print quality issues with this book that I've never seen an issue that didn't have it.
Huh.
Right?
So high grade, give up. Just find yourself a nice copy.
Just find a nice presenting copy. You're not going to find one in high grade, but if you send it to a grading company like CBCS, Tim Bildhauser, their foreign expert there, he's going to know that this book had print quality issues right off the press. So I think that this book would get a pass, like a lot of the books do when they get issues from when there's print defects. They give them a pass. Of course, it's not going to get into the ultra high grades, but you might get lucky. You might get a book that could land in the 7 or the 8 range, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. I've never seen one. Even the Palacio copy. I know I've talked about the Palacio books as being this high grade pedigree out of Mexico City. Even the Palacio copy 227 had these print quality issues and was a little bit rough.
Yeah. I don't want to get too much in the weeds on the cover of this one. Just flash it again for everybody. But
yeah,
main difference is Batman logo is a little different. It's the purple instead of the yellow.
Yep.
Some logoing things, but they stuck pretty close to the original. They made the bridge a little more pop. I'm not sure why.
It's like reddish. It's more reddish or something.
Yeah. In the interest of time, we're going to hop on over to Australia. I just picked one of these up and showed it off last week. So
woo!
That's about it. It was a nicer copy than the scan here, so that's a win.
Yeah, this is my copy. This is my rough copy. But I think I ended up paying like $225 for this. Now, the Mexican, like that we just showed, that can be difficult. But if you wait around long enough and you're patient, you can probably find one. For some reason, this Aussie Tiptop was a bitch in the early days. They just weren't coming out of Australia, and we weren't quite sure. And it's not necessarily that this series that this is in was that rare. We just weren't seeing them for whatever reason. This is the Australian Superman Presents Tiptop Comic Monthly, issue number 98. It was printed by K.G. Murray in July of 1973, so it's not, it's still a very old book. All the interiors are black and white. All the interiors are black and white, and it contains Batman 227, 236, 241, and a Tech 425. So it's got a lot of stuff going for it. And also the interesting thing about this one that I've always thought that separates it from the others is that it's got like this red hue shift. It's got a very reddish cover, which I think adds to the
dress a little darker.
Yeah, swap between that and the American.
Yeah, it's just like more pink.
It's very pinkish red. It's like,
oops, the right one. Jumped ahead.
Yeah, see how much redder the mansion is. Everything is the ground, the bridge. It's a very reddish, magenta-ish hued book. And for me, I've always liked it because I feel like it kind of. I've always loved this cover because there's an evilness to it. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like we know that if the demon of Gothos Mansion catches the maiden and he unleashes those dogs on her, it's going to be quite an ugly situation. We've all seen Game of Thrones, so there's an evilness to this cover that I like. That I think was in the original tech, and the reason that Neal swapped it. The reason there's just something so iconic about it, and I love that red shift. I love the red hue.
The cover's good. There's a lot of distraction in the logoing with the purple, a lot of colors going on at the Superman Presents. So
the Planet Comics. There's a lot of
busy.
Yep, it is. It's definitely busy.
Speaking of busy, the French seem to like the same look. Theirs is also a little less busy than Tiptop, but still a lot going on with the Batman Superman logo.
Going on. This is the French Sage edition, Superman at Batman issue 43. Now, this book contains Action Comics 391. It leads with 391. It does not lead with the 227, which I thought was interesting. It starts off with Action Comics 392. Then it has Batman 227, and then it has Superboy 166 leading the pack. So this one is a weird one. Just like how the Tiptop had a reddish shift, this one's a bluish shift.
Yeah, the castle's less red. The dress is now blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everything's a little blue. Is the face redrawn?
Yes, the Batman looks redrawn. We think that maybe it's because
tone it down a bit.
Well, maybe I think maybe they didn't receive the Batman. I think they might have received the
everybody again.
Yeah, it's a completely redrawn Bat.
Yeah, he's just a little. I don't know. Either that or he's just colored in more. He looks friendlier.
Maybe. And look,
he
even the way his
menacing.
Yeah, and even like the way his shoulders are is different. Like it's pretty safe to assume that they redrew the bat in the background for the French edition. Why did they do that? I don't think they got the artwork or something.
Potentially. Or they just kind of wanted to censor it back a bit. We've seen somewhere thought it was too scary a cover. When was this one published? I don't think we hit that. Oh, we didn't.
I don't have
it's got to be a little later on this one, but it just was
this one. I don't have the date. I wasn't able to find it right off the top of my head. But I think this one was. I know that the series that this is in. So this is 43. The series that this is in, I think, started in 69.
Okay. So maybe 70? Not too far after.
So it's probably not too far after. Probably like 75, 76. But I don't know for sure. I'd have to.
Yeah, that's right. That's bad. My bad on that. But it's just the friendlier version. It isn't quite as spooky.
Yeah, it's not as evil, right?
No, but it's a fun thing about looking at these books is find the difference. That blue dress, blue dresses are never as interesting as a red dress or pink dress. Just is. Look all the way back to the Golden Age.
Yeah, it's blue. I think the dogs are white. The dogs have no color.
Huh.
So maybe they maybe they did that to kind of pull back on the intensity of the dogs. I'm not sure. Also, the mansion, if you notice, they gave the pitched roof its own color,
Yeah.
and the stucco like a green color.
Yeah, it's got a little more definition in that building too.
Yeah, the building on this one pops.
All right, so we're going to jump to kind of the most funky part of this set, and we haven't really hit on it yet. The Lebanese. I'm going to cover our faces for a minute just because.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it's just, oops, I'm jumping around crazy. They just, there's multiple printings as you've discussed. So
yes,
I will let you kind of get in the weeds a minute on this and tell me what you want to tell me about these guys.
Okay. This is the Arabic Lebanese Batman 115. The first print was printed by Illustrated Publications in July of 1974. The interiors are spot color. Do you own any spot color foreigns, John?
I do not.
Well, what they did was they would include black and then they would include a spot color. And the Arabics would jump around from like pink to blue to green, I believe. Another country that did this was the Greeks. The Cabanas Hellas very often were printed with a spot color, depending on what issue in the run. But we think that foreign publishers did this just simply to save money on ink, right?
Is that like the Spider-Man Playboys where they're black and white with the red?
Yes, with the red. Yeah, exactly. It's just spot color, and it can change. It can be also with like the Taiwanese Marvels. You'll see them blue. You'll see them green. So they would use spot color. So the publisher, Illustrated Publications, used black plus a spot color to just add something to it. And I don't have any examples here of interiors. Maybe we should have got some, but
Right.
They're very interesting. Now, this one was printed in 1974 out of Lebanon, and that was the first print. Now, there's 3 on here. The second one is a counterfeit. Notice on the middle.
Why do you say counterfeit versus reprint?
Because in the early days, we used to think this might have been a second printing by the publisher at a later date. But we found the general consensus now within like the enthusiasts of the Lebanese books are that the second and the third print we knew for sure was a counterfeit. These were printed by collectors that gathered a bunch of CBRs together, and they were like a comic book club, and they printed it for themselves because these books are tough to find, and a lot of them never had owned one, right? So we think that something similar was done in the 90s, and that is the first counterfeit. Now, what you see, do you see the little logo next to the bat symbol? Inside that would be Illustrated Publications in Arabic, right? You'll notice on this first counterfeit, which will be in the middle, it looks like that little circle is an egg. Do you see that?
Yeah, it's a little off.
It's like oval, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that calls this book out is look on the 110. I don't know if that's an Arabic. I don't think that's numbering because this is 115. I don't know. I can't read Arabic. But do you see how it looks like it says to us as English 110?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't.
Did you notice how much bolder that is over the first one?
Yeah, it definitely sticks out.
And do you see the text too on the top? How it's bolder?
Yeah.
Also, another way to tell this issue. Do you see the moon? Do you see how it looks like it's mirroring itself there?
I don't see that as much, I guess.
There's like a moon, and then it comes down, and then it looks like it's mirroring itself, like it's coming back, it's going out.
Huh.
Where it's cut.
Okay, I got you. Like a miscut. I got you.
See how the cut is there, and it looks like it.
Yeah.
We're not exactly sure why, but all of these second printings, if depending on how they're cut, you should see some of that mirror. Put that other one that was up that you showed. Do you see the mirror there?
Yeah, it almost looks like the multiverse when the planets are dividing.
Exactly. That is a print from the 90s, we think. And But this is definitely when I've seen these, they look like they are offset print. So the third printing, the second counterfeit, the third printing,
I'm gonna go back to the three.
That's clearly a Xerox. That's one that I own. See how much darker the artwork is and how much yellower the moon is.
Mm-hmm.
That one you can easily tell. And then look at the mansion. I mean, it's spooky, right? You can't see any detail in there except that one window.
We are going to mention that this one's signed and has a drawing on it, so don't note those.
Don't pay attention to that. This is my copy. This was I took it to Neal to sign at the Santa Fe Comic-Con just for the hell of it. So there's 3 distinct printings.
Is that Two of them are oval? Is that oval logo or is it?
No, it's circular. The third print is more.
So the third print went back to the original, at least as far as from the photocopy.
At least closer as far as the logo. But even the 110, see in the it almost looks like a number to us. I'm not sure what that would be in Arabic, but even that still is a little bit more bold than the original.
Yeah, they definitely turned up the color on the copy.
Yeah, they did.
They highlighted it dark and went for it.
So what we get.
Roughly, where is this one time-wise?
This one is modern. This is like in the 2000s. I think this group of collectors had the entire Batman run printed, and I think it was like I've heard the date of the late 2000, before 2010, like 2006, 2007, something like that. That's what I've heard. But it wasn't like they did these to rip people off.
They just wanted a copy.
They wanted a copy, and this comic club gathered all the .cbrs together to print these, and they all pitched in some money, and they all just printed. I don't know what the print runs are. I do know that some people are in communication with some of the collectors that were in the group, so we might have an idea of print run. Okay. But I'm pretty sure these were printed on a Xerox modern printer. These were not offset print. But even still, John, it's still a cool book to have. When I showed this to Neal, his eyes still popped out of his head.
Absolutely. I mean, it's we talked about the language and just the look and the Lebanese Arabic. It just your eyes go, wow, that's so different.
Yeah,
and then, a couple others have it.
And don't forget, this is red. Arabic is red right to left, so the spine is on the right. So you couldn't ask for a more novel 227 edition.
Absolutely. So, yeah, we're going to get a little more into the weeds. We talked about this. That's the end of the cover set.
Yep. Very small set.
If you're a set builder, do you consider getting any of these 3, kind of completing that set to a degree?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I have the modern printing by that collector club. Do I want a second print or a first print? Yeah. If one were to come around and I had the money, I would love to own the one that was printed in the 90s. Simply because it's still pretty dang old, and it came out of, it still came out of an Arabic country. The example I like to use is, what was it back in the day? CGC even used to slab them as counterfeits. Was it Cerebris 1?
Oh yeah.
There was some counterfeits done of Cerebris, and they were done not that long after the original printing. And CGC, even when they first started, were even still slabbing them because, the original Cerebrises were so hard to come by. For a lot of collectors, owning the counterfeit was good enough.
Absolutely.
For me, it doesn't matter. If I'm building the 227 set, I would love to have all 3 at one point in time. That first one, though,
very rare.
Very rare, hard to find. A lot of the Arabic stuff didn't survive, or it was bound. I've got some Arabic books
area too for a long time.
Yeah, and remember, this was by a Lebanese publisher, Illustrated Publications. They printed this in 1974. Between 6 and 8 years later, Lebanon was in the middle of a civil war.
Yeah.
So, you end up with
not a priority.
Not a priority when you're fighting for your life. This is I would, say this is definitely could be considered a conflict book, a book that had to survive conflict, whether it be war, whether it be social craziness. This is definitely going to be the ghost, the monster of the set. All the other books can be found with enough time and energy, but a first printing This first Lebanese Batman 115 printed by Illustrated Publications of July 1974. It's going to be a tough book to get.
Absolutely. So we're going to hit two non-cover sets items in this one, starting off with...
Yes.
Tell me about this guy.
This is the Indonesian bootleg. Okay. And it is magnificent. Show the side by side real quick, John.
Yeah, it is a cover swipe of...
What is it, 205, I think?
Yeah, I think so. 205. Batman. So it's I don't even want to call it a swipe because they just creeped it out.
Wanted. Yeah. I mean, the Indonesian bootlegs are wonderful, wonderful books. We could spend hours talking about Indonesia alone. But what the bootlegs really did was they just allowed those Indonesian artists to shine. The Indonesian artist here really just did whatever the hell he wanted. I mean, he used the guy out. He made him a vampire. He made his skin. Look at his skin. It almost looks like he's got like pustules, or
nothing is the same. It's all redrawn
completely.
It just referenced almost. I don't know. I mean, Robin's blonde haired.
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. He's blonde. Yeah, holy shit. Yeah, it's like inspired by, basically.
Yeah, it is a cool one. So is this has the guts of 227?
Yes, it has the guts of 227. There's the splash page, the classic Demon of Gotham's Mansion splash page, and yeah, it's Indonesian. I mean, this is bootleg, and it is a beautiful, wonderful book. Is this a foreign Batman 227? I believe it is, and as a set builder of 227, I would want it because of what it is, and because they took a bat. What did we say it was, 305 or whatever?
I think it's 205 we talked about, but
205. Yeah. And because they took a 205 bat and just totally screwed with it, and then they include the classic 227 Gotham story interiors. This is an awesome 227. I could understand if a collector didn't want it, but for me,
we'll just call it the expanded set.
Yeah, this is an expanded set. If you can get this book, get it. And it's Indonesia is one of those things. It's kind of a tough place to crack. There are some Indonesian sellers on Facebook and eBay selling, but there's not a whole lot. You don't see this book all the time.
No, I saw it one time. I didn't realize what it was, so I regret not grabbing it.
It's a neat one. It's a really neat one.
So the next one, we're gonna give a shout out to one of the guys from the Foreign Comic Collector Magazine Facebook group. I'm gonna go ahead and put his post here so we can start and appreciate it.
This is our buddy Gabe out of Greece.
Yes, so he talked about this one, a Belgium edition of 227. This is one where we talked about. It's not the true cover. I'm going to show you the image inside. Is one of the splash pages is where the image lives.
No. This one lives on the Superman. So that's the story of this one. This one is.
I'm going to flash the cover.
Yeah, flash the Superman cover.
So it lives in this Superman book.
Yes. So this Superman book came out before their 227, and they used in this book that 227 classic artwork as an ad, like to let you know that it's upcoming.
Oh, so it's an ad. It's not even.
Yeah. So this image right here comes out of that Netherlands Superman book. Okay. So it would make you think, oh, cool, they're going to print a 227. La Nuit des Demons, it's the Demon of Gotham's Mansion. They have it in black and white. And why didn't they?
And here's what they printed.
An interior panel of some sort. La Nuit des Demons, the Demon of Gotham's Mansion. Why didn't they use
the story is the 227 here, but not the artwork.
Yes.
So this is another wonky one.
Yeah. Why did they not use the classic cover? What were they thinking? I don't know. We think maybe they thought it was too implying of violence, maybe.
Yeah, no, there was carry a casket around though.
But he's carrying a casket of some sort. What do you think's in there? They didn't fill that with candy.
No, this almost looks like Batman on like an old EC cover.
Yeah, see Batman up in the corner. He's kind of hanging out, and then it's the coloring is weird.
Yeah,
What the
it's
hell's
not
up with
great.
that dude's shirt?
Yeah,
It's like orange and lime green.
It's
It's
a
just,
bit of a mess of an image.
yeah, what were they thinking?
Yeah, a fail of a country for some reason. It has to be censorship of some kind, and I don't know. But the wacky world of foreigns that we live in and see
Yeah.
all the craziness.
If you're building the 227 set, do you want this book? I think so. It's cool.
I might want the Superman more.
Yeah, the Superman's got the classic in there. I mean, look
Much
up on
flash
my
that.
I've got a copy of it up there. Do you see up there?
Oh yeah.
I printed out a copy for my comic closet because it's cool. I mean, I like it.
Absolutely. So there you have it. There's the 227 set with some extras we threw in. We did a good job of trying to keep near time today.
Yeah.
Anything you want to kind of talk about quick before we get the heck out of Dodge?
Just, this is a fun set. This is a set that people have been building for a very long time, from the very earliest times of at least the hobby here in America. This was one of those first sets that people were trying to build, and so as such, I think it's part of like foreign comics history in that sense.
Absolutely.
It's not a big set, but some of these books can give you some fits if you're hunting them down. Of course, that Lebanese Arabic is going to be tough. The Aussie and the Mexican can be tough in their own right if you can't find them. The Eball, the Brazilian Ebal, it's not that it's that tough. What it's going to be tough about that book is finding one in decent condition. You'll be able to find one, but a lot of them are trashed. And then, of course, the Super Amigos, that's easy. But, there's something about sets, putting them together. This is a great book, classic book. I love this set.
Absolutely. All right. And then do you want to talk about your podcast here?
Oh,
you're working?
Podcast. Global Comics Calling is our long form podcast. We did a discussion on today. We did a discussion on Filipino books. We ended up talking about it for like an hour and 30 minutes. It's a really long show. I gathered a bunch of info, all the info. We have a page on Facebook called the Philippine Research Society. And what we're doing is just trying to gather as many scans and information as we can on Filipino books. We did a great podcast today, so I'd love everyone to go. It's called Global Comics Calling. You can find us on Facebook. And then, of course, I'm just excited to do more work with you, John.
Right?
Foreign Comics Calling, yeah. I'm just excited to, what did I say? Oh, global?
Yeah.
Foreign Comics Calling. That's what it is.
Absolutely. So check it out. Check out the Foreign Comic Collectors magazine group on Facebook. I want to just thank Comic Book Invest for helping us out as always. And feel free to join myself and the guys from the Tales from the FlipSide podcast tomorrow, Monday night at 9:30. And next set we're going to feature is going to be Iron Man #1, the classic Iron Man cover. I know Matt's been building a set of that one, so we're trying to jump around, and we hit a DC. We're going to get a Marvel next time. So all you Silver Age guys, come on back, and we'll show you some cool stuff. Thank everybody. Please like, subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Matt.
You guys have a good one.